What's up, everyone? Hope you're doing well. Today we got the season 2 reloaded update for Warzone 3, and I'm going to be going over all the nerfs and buffs that happened to every weapon. There's some pretty significant ones when it comes to the meta, but I don't think there's going to be a huge drastic change, but there's going to be some things that you're going to want to know. So we're going to go over all of those right now. And then after we go over all these nerfs and buffs, we're going to give you some loadouts for the nerfed weapons and the buffed weapons, or at least give you an idea of what you can be running at the start of season 2 reloaded. That way you're ready to go once you hop on and once you get your game updated. All right, so here we have the season 2 reloaded patch notes. We got the new Dune and Warhammer stuff, which I think is really cool because of, you know, Henry Cavill's going to be doing the new Warhammer series, and I think that's gonna be sick. So maybe we have a Henry Cavill skin here in the near future. That'd be dope. We got a new Fortune's Keep research vessel, all that kind of stuff, but we're gonna go in, but we got a bunch of new stuff. We got the new weapons. We're gonna go ahead and get into the nerfs and buffs though. We got the new SOA Subverter battle rifle. I'll be doing a loadout video on that. I'll be testing that today. Soul Renderer melee weapon, that looks pretty cool. New aftermarket parts here, we'll be testing those as well, one for the BAS-B and one for the Holger 556. And then we've got the weapon adjustments right here. So the MCW looks like it did get a buff. Mid damage increase to 26 up from 24, and the mid damage increase to 23 up from 19. The Holger 556 AR got a buff as well, 38 to 35, which seems pretty significant. Max damage range increased to 36 meters up from 33, so that's 3 more meters, probably pretty significant. Near to mid damage range set to 34, which is going to be interesting. Near mid damage range set to 45, so there's a couple of drop-offs right here. So after 34 meters you have a drop-off, and then after 45 you'll have another drop-off. We'll see how that tests and stuff, but it feels like that's going to be a pretty solid resurgence weapon to use, but we'll see. The BP50 looks like it got a max damage decrease, so it looks like we got a nerf here from 28 down from 30. Near to mid damage range decreased to 26 from 28. I don't think it's going to be super significant, like I said, but again, the actual damage profile is not super high, so this may be more significant than we think. The forebearer heavy stock did get a buff on this BP50, increased the recoil gun kick benefit to 16% up from 11%, so might be needing to run that forebearer heavy stock and might help control that recoil even more. Then the Moat 40 stock decreased the aim down sight time benefit 2% down from 7%. The SVA 545 decreased sprint to fire time to 189 milliseconds down from 210. Decreased the aim down sight time to 230. So a slight buff, maybe, not sure there. Looks like a slight buff to the sprint to fire time and aim down sight time. So SVA 545 still 100% going to be in the meta. Then we got a Ram 7 nerf. Max damage range decreased to 26 meters down from 33. So you're looking at your max damage, you're decreasing all the way down to 26 meters. That'll be pretty significant when it comes to the mid-range damage for the Ram 7. So this probably drops it in the meta. I think it's still in the meta, but it's probably going to drop it quite significantly, probably down to maybe 4 or 5 overall in the AR meta, in my opinion. Just from first glance, I haven't tried it out yet, so we'll see if it actually makes a difference. Then we got the battle rifle nerf, MTZ 762. This is an overall nerf. Max damage decreased to 40 down from 42, and then minimum damage decreased to 32 down from 34. So you're talking about your legs and appendages down to 32. They were doing 34 damage. Max damage decreased to 40 down from 42. That's going to be your neck and chest area most likely. Head damage didn't get a nerf. Head damage modifier decreased to 1.2 down from 1.3. So we'll see how all this plays out, but MTZ 762 did get a nerf. Sidewinder decreased recoil intensity during sustained fire slightly, so that did get a slight buff on the recoil. A9 Venom stock decreased recoil gun kick penalty 5% down from 16. That's pretty significant right here, that Venom stock. We're gonna check that out this week and see how that plays. That's a pretty significant buff in my opinion, but we'll see. RB Rapid Strike Grip increased aim down sight time benefit to 11% up from 9%, so we'll see how that plays out. That might be a attachment that we need to use. Decreased recoil control penalty to 4% down from 10%. So check out this Rapid Strike Grip. We'll see how that plays out. We'll test it here in a minute too when we give you the loadout for the Sidewinder. SMGs AMR9, the Etten double barrel kit did look like it got tweaked. It got fixed. Bullets are now firing in a vertical column rather than just random. So that probably did get a slight buff. I think that's kind of a buff there. That way it's not a random shot when you're using this Etten double barrel kit. Ram 9 Speedway V5 short barrel decreased aimed outside penalty to 10% down from 15, so that's a little bit of a buff. Increased recoil gun kick benefit to 9%. So you got a bunch of attachment buffs in here. It looks like Imperator light barrel velocity benefit to 20%. Yeah, so we got some significant buffs, not to the weapon itself, but to the attachments to this weapon. So keep that in mind. That Ram 9 is going to jump up probably to number 1, if not number 2 for sure. But this WSP9 too. WSP9 decreased minimum standing hip fire spread. So hip fire spread got a buff. Decreased maximum standing hip fire spread, that got a buff. Decreased tactical stance spread, that got a buff. So So WSP9 got a slight buff there for all the hip fire stuff and tactical stance stuff, but that WSP9, I think you're switching it out with this MTZ 762 battle rifle, especially if you're using snipers. This is my number one sniper support right here, WSP9. In my opinion, I am loving it. We'll give you a loadout here in a minute for it as well. The Rival 9 Jack Headhunter carbine kit, near mid damage range increased to 45 meters. This might be sniper support as well. That's a pretty significant buff to the damage range when it comes to mid damage range. So we're going to try that out. The Rival 9 out this week. We'll see how that plays out. The PDS 528 improved alignment of the default iron sight optic. So they just tweaked the alignment of that optic. So, you know, whatever there. I don't think that's a buff. The PDS is still not unusable, but it is fast. But man, it's just there's better options. Shotgun Lockwood 680 barrel attachments damage pellet count now remains at 6. So no buff or nerf there. Just they fixed something there. LMGs, oh my gosh. Bruin MK9 lower torso damage modifier increase. Oh yes. All right, so this is not a significant buff or anything, but it did get a buff. Decreased aim down sight time, awesome. It already had the fastest aim down sight time out of all of the LMGs, and they decreased it even more now, which is great. Increased movement speed, awesome. Increased crouch movement speed, awesome. Increased tactical sprint speed, awesome. Increased aim down sight movement speed, fantastic. Yeah, so we got a slight buff. Nothing to the damage other than the torso damage modifier, but everything else made it more mobile, especially with that 60 round mag on there. That's going to be huge for the Bruin. Pull me at 762. This has been one of my favorite LMGs for this whole entire game. Increased strength of aim down idle sway, so you're going to have some more idle sway. But with that new Jack glassless optic, there's no idle sway at all. Jack Annihilator bullpup kit, decreased bullet velocity. So this is a pretty significant nerf here to the pull me. So that's going to drop it down definitely probably to number 4 or 5 for me. Still, I guess you could say top 5 meta, but I think you got some better options now. Bruin probably number 1 overall for me right now. We'll give you a loadout obviously here in a few minutes as well. Sniper rifles, XRK Stalker, Cat AMR, and the SPX80 all got an aim down sight time buff. So that's pretty significant, especially this Cat AMR. The Cat AMR aim down sight time is awful. So pretty significant ADS buffs here, and the SPX80. SPX80 doesn't one shot, so that's the issue with that. And the ADS time was already pretty quick with that one too. So we'll see how that plays out. But the ADS time for the XRK Stalker is right in line with that SPX80 now. So you got the SPX80 increase the ADS time. So SPX80 actually got a buff or a nerf to the ADS time. So SPX80 probably unusable. XRK Stalker, Cat AMR are your go-to when it comes to sniper rifles. So very solid buffs to those two snipers there. We got some pistols here. Renetti, the carbine kit, max damage increased. Okay, so you got the carbine kit. This turns it basically into an SMG. It got a pretty significant buff, so we're going to be using that a little bit. 445, the conversion kit on it increased the bullet. So this got a buff too. That Core 45 is insane as is. So that got a massive buff. So we're looking at the Core 45 and Renetti being very solid secondary options right now for sure. The TYR near mid damage range. Oh god, on drop, whenever you have the TYR, I feel like I get one shot anyway. So this TYR is going to be pretty significant when it comes to the buff, especially on drop. The Damon pistol from Modern Warfare 2 added the missing pistol fast draw benefit. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. I'm probably not testing that one. That Damon pistol, I don't think the damage is good enough for that. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the actual weapon buffs and nerfs. So now we'll go in and give you guys some loadouts for all these weapons. Let me know what you think about the nerfs and buffs so far, what you think is going to be in the meta. But yeah, so could be a lot of fun. We'll see. Let's get you those loadouts. All right, so for that Bruin buff especially, we're going to go with the Zimmon 35 compensated flash muzzle, the XRK Horizon V2 barrel, the Bruin heavy support grip underbarrel, the Jack glassless optic, and that 60 round mag. This is going to be a pretty significant buff to this weapon when it comes to the movement speed and things. So keep that in mind when you're using this, that you're going to have a lot more movement speed and things like that with this weapon. So I think it's definitely in the meta now. Loving that. Now we got the AMR9. So if you're going to use that Etten double barrel conversion kit, this is a pretty solid loadout to use. So we'll give you the loadout here: the DR6 hand stop underbarrel, that high grain rounds, the 100 round drum, because it does shoot 2 bullets at a time. So you're going to want to put that 100 round mag on. You can run the slate reflector sight or the night arm model. I kind of like the Jack glassless with this as well, but then obviously you're going to run that Jack Etten double barrel kit with it. A lot of fun to run. We'll see how this plays out, but it hits pretty hard. Kind of hard to control when it comes to recoil, but that's why you have that 100 round mag on there. Another LMG that I'm going to love running right now is the Holger 26. The Holger 26 hits really pretty hard. So we're going to go with that Zimmern 35 compensated flash hider, the Holger factory barrel, the Bruin heavy support grip underbarrel, that Jack glassless optic, and I'm going with the Ascent Lord stock here. It already comes with a 60 round mag, so no reason to put any kind of mag on there. This thing barely moves as is and hits pretty significantly hard. You pair with the Striker 9 too. The Striker 9, I'm running that Zimmern 35 muzzle, the DR6 hand stop. I like the Jag glasses optic here instead of like the MK3. 50 round drum. If you like, I like the Lockman MK2 light stock for sure. If you don't like an optic on here, maybe run the Elite long barrel, something like that. Very solid options here when it comes to an SMG. Very low recoil and hits pretty good. For that Holger 556 buff, we're running the Zimmern 35 compensated flash, the Cryos 6 match stock. This is going to be the best barrel to use. You got an insane amount of bullet velocity and insane amount of damage range. It helps the recoil gun kick. Only thing it decreases the ADS speed and sprint to fire speed, but not significant enough for me. We're running the Bruin heavy support grip underbarrel, the 40 round mag. That's the biggest mag you can go to, and I'm running the Jack glassless optic here. We'll test this for you in the firing range. I haven't had time to actually test the actual buff, but you know, it's going to be really solid option. I think that damage increase is going to be really good. Here's the WSP9. I'm telling you, this thing is so good running as an SMG or sniper support. Compensated flash hider muzzle, that Zimmern 35, DR6 hand stop. This is the SMG style build. The high grain rounds, the Jack glassless optic, and I'm running that 40 or 50 round mag. Completely up to you there, but this thing did not get a nerf. It does the same. It has the same damage profile up to 20 meters as the MTZ 762 that had just gotten a nerf. So it's good, man. It's really good. If you're running it as a sniper support, I recommend the WSP APTAC long barrel instead of the muzzle. That's the only thing you're changing on this thing. And then take off the ammo and put the WSP Classics factory stock. But man, this thing as sniper support built like this is just close to unstoppable. Another AR that I think will now be considered maybe number 5 in the meta, I'm not sure yet. Again, I'm going to be testing those this week. I'll give you another full loadout video on Friday, is the MTZ 556. We're going to run the Zimmern 35 compensated flash, the MTZ Drifter heavy long barrel, the Bruin heavy support grip, running the Jack glassless optic, and the 50 round drum. I think this is going to be very viable. It was already kind of viable anyway, kind of like the MCW was at the beginning of season 2, but once they buffed it in like a week later, I think it's a very solid option here. The Ram 9 buff to the attachments, I'm running the Zimmern 35 compensated flash, DR6 hand stop underbarrel. I'm running that Recon comb. I'm still running this. We're going to test those buffed attachments. I think they were in the stocks or something like that, but we'll test those out here in a little bit. And I'm running the Haste XV grip tape along with the 50 round mag. Again, this thing is still it's going to be really solid, and we'll test those buffed attachments as well, but this thing barely moves as is too. That MCW buff is going to be pretty significant, especially in the meta. I think it's going to be number 3 or maybe number 4. I think it might move above the Ram 7. I don't know yet. We're going to test it, but the MCW is going to be really good. Zimmern 35 compensated flash hider muzzle, the MCW Cyclone long barrel, the Bruin heavy support grip underbarrel, Jack glassless optic, and the 60 round drum here. I think this is going to be a really good option, man. Doesn't move. Very solid option. Holger 556 kind of feels the same way right now. We'll see how it feels, but it's going to be fun. I'm pairing that with the Striker. The Striker's so good. I know you guys are we've got a lot of fans of the Striker on the channel. Zimmern 35 compensated flash muzzle, DR6 hand stop underbarrel. You got the 48 round mag, the Jack glassless optic, and this Lockman MK2 light stock. Going to be a very solid option to run as a secondary as well. So we'll see how that goes. But going to be a lot of fun to run, and you could probably even use it as sniper support. With this particular build, probably go with a long barrel or something instead of like the stock. But yeah, a lot of fun to run as well. Then for that Sidewinder buff, I'm gonna go with the Zimmon compensated flash, the Tempest Predator precision barrel, Ruin heavy support grip, maybe even the Chimera Rhine 03 if you have trouble with the vertical recoil control there, 30 round drum, and that Jack glassless optic. I think this is gonna be a very solid option. I think this might jump up in the BR meta. It's just this problem is the fire rate's so slow, man. It's so slow, and it only comes with a 35 round mag or 30 round mag, so you better be hitting your shots, man, because it's not very forgiving. So maybe you put it on single fire, see how that does. Probably a better option there. But we'll see how that goes. We'll test that this week for sure. Another AR I think could be considered really good is the Cast-Off 545 from Modern Warfare 2. I'm running the Zimmon 35 compensated flash muzzle. We're IGK 30 406 millimeter barrel, Bruin heavy support grip under barrel, Jag glassless optic, 60 round mag, and feels really good in the game. We'll see how it feels after this update and things like that. There were no buffs or nerfs to it. Very little recoil, hits pretty hard, so a very solid option in my opinion. We'll see how that plays out though. Got the XRK Stalker buff. You know, you want to run the Sonic Suppressor XL muzzle, Vision 60 barrel, high grain rounds, going to increase that bullet velocity. You do not need the high grain rounds for it to one shot at 50.8 meters, but this does increase that range when it for one shotting a little bit because of the bullet velocity. Don't run anything like the explosive ammo or anything on this. It's going to decrease that bullet velocity by almost 50%. Don't run it. It's going to have so much bullet drop off. You don't need it. I'm running no stock on here and the XRK Stalker light bolt here. Completely up to you. If you want to increase that ADS time on top of the nerf it already got, you can run this XRK Stalker factory grip. It increases the ADS speed a little bit, not by much, but it does increase it a little bit. Then for that Cat AMR, you're going to run the Sonic Suppressor XL muzzle, the Zang 34 barrel, the Razorhawk laser light. That's going to increase the sprint to fire speed and ADS speed quite a bit on top of the buff. I got the high velocity ammo on here. You can also use the high grain rounds. It's going to increase the bullet velocity 5% less than the high velocity, but effective damage range, you're going to increase that thing by quite a bit when it comes to there. And then you got the ephemeral quick bolt to increase that rechambering and fire speed. But yeah, so you're going to want to run that Cat AMR for sure. Well, like I said, we'll have a full meta loadout video, what's meta, what's not, here in a couple days. So make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that noti bell so you don't miss another video like this or like one of these. We'll see you in the next one.